Okay, so it's a continuation of an interesting daf. Yes, yesterday's daf was interesting daf. Today's daf also. Maskevlo on the bottom line. So again, the sugya that we're talking about is the sugya of what you're allowed to take as, what did the art scroll call it? Security. They don't call it collateral. That you're taking security in order to try and get this borrower to pay back the loan. So we were saying that he has to sacrifice, meaning the lender has to sacrifice, and he can't just randomly take things, right? So maskevler of chagav lay lav alai karamis. Now there's a lot of hashkafa in this Gemara's question here. Why can't the lender say, why are you putting it on me to support this guy, this poor guy? This poor guy borrowed money from me, right? And he can't afford to pay me back. So I have to lose, right? And why does the lender have to lose? It should be based on the tzibur. Now Taisus says, the last Taisus on the daf here says, this is not a kasha on the Mishnah / pasuk, right? That says that the lender has to, treat this guy respectful and can't just sell things. No, it's not a question on the Mishnah, because Taisus says that it should have asked that earlier, right? And Taisus says, what do you mean? What kind of question is it? Lamaisa, the pasuk says, you have to be the one to give the tzedakah. So he's saying, he's really asking Kasha and Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shmuel who hold, that we said at the end of yesterday's Gemara, that Kol Yisrael's b'nei malachim, and therefore, meaning everybody's right to anything. Any yid is right to anything. So therefore, he can't sell anything. So on that point, the Gemara is asking, well, 1 second, I gotta be a tzaddik because you have this shita that any yid is right to have any luxury. So me, the lender, I have to sacrifice. Let the tzibur, if he has to have his special pillow, right? Or what do you call it? Duck, whatever, feather. He has a special feather pillow or something like that. So I have to suffer. Well, let the tzibur cover that. Right? That's the way Taisus understands the Gemara's kash. Yeah. So Amar le Abaya, then we start today's daf. Amar le Abaya, Ivra, yes, it's true. Alei karami, the Torah put it onto you. So it's interesting, Rashi here. Again, it's a shorter daf, so I can spend a little time on it. What's it? Yeah.
I mean, so how do we, I don't want to take off track, but when certain people like yourself get upset about the Pesach programs and this and that, Gemara's telling me it's fine. It's fine. All Israel's b'nei malachim. They could spend $50,000 for Pesach, much less for Chasana. Right.
It's true. Yeah, you can't taina on them. I don't think the taina is on them. They have their lifestyle. You can't. The question is it the proper place to spend a Yom Tov? That's all. Which is again none of our business. But I don't think it's ever any of our business. But anyways. But look at this Rashi. What does this Rashi mean in the top line? He's saying Ivra alei rakarami. You're putting it on him, right? Sheyehei loy tzedakah. So meaning we're making it sound like the way the Gemara's kasha is that the lender is saying, "Why are you giving me this headache?" So the Rashi's saying, "No, fakir. We want you to be the one to get the mitzvah of tzedakah. Shakasav hitel alav lasis le tzedakah lahalech lefanav." Right? The Torah put it on him, the tzedakah. Now, what does lahalach lefanav mean? I think it means that it should go in front of him, that it should be a schus. Was that what it means, Gershon? That's what I thought. Right? I wasn't sure though.
I read it the same way.
Yeah. So that's that meaning fakir. What are you complaining that you got to give tzedakah? Fakir, you have the schus because you lent the guy money. It's mitzvah. That's almost like a mitzvah gereris mitzvah. Now you get the schus of giving him more money.
Apropos for Yaakov's day.
That's true. Yeah, right. That's very much. Yeah, for you mean referring to Yaakov Goldfeder, Allah Shalom. Yeah, he's a big Baal Chesed. It was one you're the one that started. You continue get the source. Yeah, fine. So Iboilu. So Iboilu. Maushi Sadru Babal Chayiv. All right. So now the Gemara asks. It's very interesting because the whole last Amud of the last half of Amud Beis was: Are we Masader in front of? Are we Masader in front of? Masader doesn't mean Masader Kedusha, meaning are we Masader to see how much money this borrower has to try and figure these things out. So we said it's Machlokes of Shimon Gamliel Tanakama. Now the Gemara asks, what's the story being Masader for a Baal Chayv? Do we learn how to say the Shav of Micha? Meaning Micha means from the word that he's poor. From Erechin, and just like by Erechin, we try and figure out how much money the guy could afford. So too by Baal Chayv, we also do. So do we or not? Now again, we already answered this question. All right, the question was already answered. So basically, what we're saying is, which sheet do we go with? Do we count or do we not count? So Tashmat, the Shalach Ravin Big Rasei, Ravin sent a letter. I sent this thing to all my.
I'm just gonna say it's definitely a family member of yours.
I'm trying to look. I think it's one Sharei Chaim boy onto another.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's close enough. One is a family member for sure. Yeah. So Tashma, the Shalach Rabin Beigrasi, Davar Zeh Sha'alti L'chol Rabbis. I asked this question to all my Rebbeim for Loi Amruli Davar, and nobody told me anything. However, Kacha is a Shayla, but there was a Shayla. If a guy says that I have a mana for Bedek Abayis, a mana is an amount. What's the din? Are we masader it? I mean, this is a regular hektish. He's making something hektish, and he says it's 100. But then we look at his bank account. Right? We look at his bank account, and we see that he can't afford it. Taka sounds like him, Baron. It sounds like Yaakov. It does. Right? We check out his bank account, and we say, what's going on over there? Right? So do we do that for hektish? So for Erechin, we have a Beferish pasuk that we do it. If the guy can't afford his pledge, so we analyze. But what about hektish? Rav Yaakov Mishmei de Bar Pada, Rav Yirmiyah Mishmei de Ilfa Amri, and they say Kavachaymer mi Baal Chayv. It's a Kavachaymer from Baal Chayv. Uma Baal Chayv shemachzirin. A Baal Chayv that we give him back, meaning we give the borrower back his money, ein misadrin, and we're not misadr anything, meaning to see what we should hold back and what we shouldn't hold back from, right? Which is like Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, because we just take the things back, right? Meaning you give him back. I'm sorry, I think I said the backwards. You have to. The malva is mechuyev to give him back his security, but we're not mesader, right? Meaning after 30 days, we don't make any sort of siddur. For the first 30 days, he has to give back. He takes back his thing, the borrower, and then after 30 days, according to Shimon Gamliel, we sell it. So we want to aim mesader. It's a hektish, ain't machzirin. It's a hektish that we're not machzir. Ain't a din, shein mesader. Is it not a kavod chayver that we're not mesader it? It's interesting. So we're going through the back door, because the Gemara is saying a kavod chayver from Baal Chayv, that hektish. We don't start evaluating a guy's finances by hektish. Right? And how does he know from Baal Chayv? So Mamela, that answers our question. Our question was, do we do this? Are we masader these things by a Baal Chayv? So from the Gemara's answer of the Kavod Chaymer, it's clear that we do. That we're not masader. So you see a Baal Chayv is not masader. So it's interesting because he said, I asked all my Rebbeim and nobody gave me an answer. But from this question, it's very clear what the answer is. I don't know if the Rebbeim didn't answer him because it was so passionate, or the Rebbeim didn't answer him because they didn't know. I don't know. Anyways, the Gemara continues. Rav Yochanan disagrees. Rav Yochanan Omar, neder be'erkachok. If it says a neder by erchen, ma erchen mesadrin, just like by erchen, we're mesader, meaning we try and figure out the guy's finances. Ab hektish mesadrin. So too by hektish, we also are Masada. So he's chaylik on the first sheet. The idach and the other shita. What does he do with this pasuk? Hahu the nidan b'chvayda the asa is that we judge him b'chvayda, meaning b'chvayda means with covet. What does this mean? That Rashi says. So let's say a guy, you could also make an erchin, not on your body. The pasha the erchin is that you say whatever my worth is, and then sets amounts of worth. 20 shekel for a 20-year-old, and then the et cetera, et cetera. But you could also make an erchin. You could say my heart, right, or my lungs, or a kidney. Now it's a big difference if you say you're donating your heart or your lungs or your kidney. Why? Because heart and lungs is as if you're doing your whole body, because you can't live without a heart. But kidney, you could live without it, right? Or somebody says, I'm giving my right arm, or anything like that. So then those you would go with l'chvayda, you would start figuring out how to do it. So Mamela, that's what he's doing with this pasuk. My erchin nidan b'chvayda, just like my erchin, you judge it based on which type of limit it is. So af hektish nidan b'chvayda. So hektish also is nidan b'chvayda. So Gemara asks v'yisadru about chayv. Now the Gemara asks the other way around. So why don't we learn out that a Baal Chayv, meaning we were assuming that a Baal Chayv were not Masada to see what he could afford and what he can't afford, right? So now the Gemara is saying, but why don't we be Masada by a Baal Chayv that we should check into him? Kava Chayim Erchin is a Kava Chayim Erchin. Uma Erchin she'ein machzirin Erchin that you don't give back the money. You can't give back money. Erchin, meaning if the guy, with this a donation that the guy gives, you don't say, oh, he can't afford to give it back. It's not allowed. It's hektish. But Misadrin, but we are Misadr how much he actually has to give. So Baal Chayv, Shemachzirin, that a Baal Chayv that we do give back, we give him back his security, at least for the first 30 days. Ein Adin Shemisadrin isn't a Kavach Chayim that we Misadr it. So Makra, V'im Machu Me'erkacha. So the pasuk says if he's poor for his erech, who, so we're midayek, who below Baal Chayv. Him and not his Baal Chayv. So meaning not a Baal Chayv. So a Baal Chayv, we're not Masada finished. And that's the diak from the pasuk. V'idach, hi achi makoisay mitchilasay vat seifa. And the other shita says he has to be in his, again, well, not makoisay, it's really machusa. He has to be poor from beginning to end. Meaning, let's say a guy makes an erech in neder, right? And he's supposed to give whatever amount he was worth. And then they evaluated him and say he can't afford it. So they knocked it in half. Then they go, and then he went and he made it rich. So now, does he have to give his old amount or his new amount? So we say that he has to give the regular standard amount. He has to be considered poor from the beginning to the end. Okay, so the Gemara asks, "V'yasiru behektish," right? So what? Let him. Let's give back money to somebody who makes something hektish and he can't afford it. And Kavach Chayim, let's learn that as a Kavach Chayim from a Baal Chayv, right? A Baal Chayv that would not Masada. I mean, we don't try and figure out how much he could afford. Machzirin, but you do give him back his security for the first 30 days. So hektish and Masadrin, hektish that we are Masada, ain't it din shemachzirin, isn't the Kavach Chayim that we give it back. So Makra, B'shochav, it says B'shochav b'salmasa. It says he should sleep with his clothing, ubeirachacha, and he should bench you. Meaning, what are you gaining by giving him back his security? Let's say he gives you his blanket instead of paying you back the loan. So you got to give him back his blanket. So he says you give it back so that he could sleep with his regular blanket. Uberacha, and he's going to give you a bracha. So that can only be referring to a loan. Yotza hektish ain't tzarich bracha. Hektish doesn't need a bracha, meaning Hashem doesn't need a bracha. So what are you going to say? That it's talking about this pasuk is talking about that you give back some of the money that he pledged to hektish, so that he will bench Hashem for giving him back money. Hashem doesn't need a bracha. So then Gemara says, "V'loi." Now this is hashkafa number 2 of the daf. V'loi v'aksiv v'chalta v'savata v'erachta. It says you ate and you're satisfied and you benched. So you see that there is such a concept of giving a bracha to Hashem. So why not? If you give the hektish back, or give him a discount on his hektish, so then why wouldn't we say that's bracha for Hashem too? Ella amar kra ulachat tzedakah, and it says that it's going to be for you tzedakah. Misha tzarach tzedakah. That's only somebody who needs tzedakah is going to be this way. Yotza hektish ain't tzarach tzedakah. Comes to exclude hektish. That hektish doesn't need tzedakah. Right? So, okay. So then again, what does it mean what taka does it mean? But I think I would defer to Gershon to explain the verachta. I'm sure he has a whole shtickle Torah on it. But verachta, basically, what does it mean? Baruch atah Hashem. Isn't that what we do all day? Baruch atah Hashem. Bench is Hashem. I'm benching Hashem. Right? So what it means is when we say Baruch, we're acknowledging that all bracha comes from Hashem. Right? Baruch atah Hashem is the source of all bracha in the world is from Hashem. So
the conjugation is passive. Yeah, it's nifol. It's passive. Baruch we're describing him as Baruch, not that I'm trying to be I'm not being bayrech. We're not giving Hashem a bracha that Hashem needs a bracha. No, we're exclaiming Baruch.
Not mashma that here. Right? It's mashma here that you are giving the Eibush a bracha.
Well, that's different because what's not the bracha? The bracha when you say Baruch, when you say the word.
That's what we're talking about. Benching. Baruch atah Hashem is on its okay. Is giving the Eibush a bracha. That's what this Gemara says.
No, but the Rachamim is saying that it's in the past tense.
I'm asking him. I'm not. Usually we're taught and we say that Baruch means that the Eibush is the Mekoira bracha. This Gemara is mashma. That's not what Baruch means.
And Ochanami. This you have to fit it into this Gemara.
There's two Rashis also. There's a Rashi in Brachas where you're talking about someone who eats without hazamah, without making a bracha. Kilu goizelos Hashem.
Right.
There Rashi says that he stole the bracha from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted his bracha.
The Marshal says over there in Brachos, if you're taking away the Amen from the Baruch, you don't say a bracha, you can't answer Amen to it.
Very good, Rach. Very good. Yeah. It's a good sugya. Okay, anyway, bye. Ashkeche Rabba Baravul Eliyo. There we go. One of these strange stories. I don't want to say strange, meaning strange. What should I tell you? It's an interesting story. So Ashkeche Rabba Baravul Eliyo. Rabba Baravul found Eliyo. That he was in a Beis HaKfaros of Goyim. Okay. Now, I mean, right off the bat, we'll see on Amabeis what the significance is of Goyim. But why was he taka in the Beis HaKfaros of Goyim? What was Rabba Baravu doing there? And what was Eliyahu Hanavi doing there? Right. So Amrle Maush. So okay, so he found him in the Beis HaKfaros of Goyim. So Amrle Maush Yisadru Bebalchayv. So he asked him this shaila. Why not ask him? We're all waiting for Eliyahu Hanavi to come for all the takos. He might as well ask him this kasha if he found him in the Beis HaKfaros. Right? So he said, what's the story there? So Amalei Gomar Micha Me'erchen. He said exactly what the Gemara said. We learn how to say Shava of poor from Erchen. Gabi Erchen Ksiv Machu Me'erkecha. It says, and if he's poor for that amount, Gabi Balchayv Ksiv Kibichi Amochachicha. And if your brother is poor. On some base. Okay, so that was question number one, and he answered him that he does. You do. How do you spell it? You are Masad, right? On top of base. Now then he says to me, "Nine la'arim shaloi yitron." How do you know that somebody's naked can't take off truma? Now this shaila is not that you can't take off truma. Body you can take off. Why can't you take off truma if you're naked? The problem is you can't make the bracha because you're naked. So
also in the third parak in Brachos, Oh,
Is it the whole parak?
yeah. If a woman is takes
Yeah.
when she's sitting down, she's taking she's mafresh.
Right.
I think while she's oral.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So the woman, if she's sitting down, it works for a woman. Right. So that's the question. So the chsiv, so he says the chsiv not chametz, and you should not see any error when you're making a bracha. So therefore, you should not take off truma because then you lose out the bracha. Right.
It's also like chorus, yeah.
Well, yeah. So Amar Lei, so he said to him, Lav koyin hu mar. My time of koy mar besa kvaros. Aren't you a koyin? Why are you in the besa kvaros? Right? You're a koyin. Now, how do you know he's a koyin? So then you have the Rashi. It's coming up in a couple of weeks, Bez Hashem, right? Look at the Rashi, the fourth line down in the Rashi. Rashi says, the ikalaman domer delio pinchas. A fascinating limud. It says by Eliyahu that he had a kanayis for Hashem, and it said by Pinchas. Must be the same person. Okay.
I think the end of this long tesis over here is whole discussion which Shevet Eliyahu came from.
Right. So that's another. Right.
Not so pashut he was a kohen, but
yeah. So yes.
I was thinking, how are they doing the mitzvah of learning in the base kavaras? Because of loik rosh. But then again, there's the base kavaras of goyim. Of God, so no, it can't be an embarrassment to them because they're in their own life they're called Mason. So
that's obvious they're wearing talesim also. Besides learning,
well, I don't know about that.
They're wearing pizza.
Anyway, yeah. So again, that's how he's a kohen because that Rashi says Ika Mandomer that says he was a kohen. Okay, so then. Amarle lav koyin who mar my time of koyin mar basic forest. Why are you in a basic forest?
You said good, Racham.
I forgot Racham's a koyin. He takes this
because Rabbi Farner should live me well. He announced by the Levaya that everybody should make sure to put that sitzes in next if they come next to the meter. So
is that what he said?
You said that today. How much what you said, Racham? Yeah, Mamish by the Levaya.
Interesting. So, anyways, so Taisus has a pasha Kasha here. You can learn a lot from this Taisus. I mean, whatever. There's a lot for Hatzola guys too. Rabbaran, it's a Hatzola. Right. This Taisus. Look at the Taisus. Let's read the Taisus. The second Taisus on the bottom. Lav koyin ata temelari. If he was a koyin, hey chichyu b'nah shel almana. Kivich a koyin haya. Tichsivius moeded aliyel. Right. The famous Maisa with Eliyahu. Right, that he did Tchias HaMeis. So what did he do? He went up to the mace and he put his mouth on his mouth and his eyes on his eyes, and he was mechayah him. So Taisus asks, how could he do that? He's a kohen. He's not allowed to touch him. Here the teretz, it's a fat. I know I said sometimes the word fascinating too much, but this is a fascinating teretz. That the Taisus is saying because he knew that he'll get him to become alive. So Mamela it's pikuach nefesh, and Mamela he's for pikuach nefesh a kohen. I'm sure Rabbi Yankel Goldfeder became Tomei Mace many times, unfortunately, from his Hatzolah calls, right? But pikuach nefesh.
Maybe there's a window of time when a person seems to be nifter, but the nefesh is still there. So you're not saving the goof. You bring pikuach nefesh. You bring back the nefesh.
Rachamim, I don't know, man. I don't know what you're learning up there by chatzos in the country.
The Shita brings an opinion like that. By the way, he didn't mamish die. He was in this alley.
Yeah, he was a guy. Yeah, he was a guy. Says so that type.
Yeah, it's a geisis exactly.
Yeah. But that's
you're not so bad. Don't listen to everybody.
So
you're good. You're saying good stuff.
So Benji, who was maspid today,
it was very good. Has to be proud of.
What?
Yeah, it was a very good. Has to be proud of.
Right. So you know Benji, obviously. So one time when he was still coming to Reb David's daf, when I was going to Reb David's daf also, it's many years ago, he came in one morning and you can see there's something wrong, and you never saw that by Benji. And this is the only time he ever told me about Hatzolah call. I know him 50 years. He never, ever spoke about a Hatzolah call, no matter what. Never, ever. This is the only time. Because me and Rav both said, what's the matter? He was like, not himself. He said he was on a call the night before, him and somebody else, and to eat in Bell Harbor. And they went through all the protocols. You know, they have protocols from the Department of Health they have to do before they pronounce somebody's never dead. Or they try to save him, obviously. So they went through the whole, whatever procedure they have of trying to help the person. They did it once. I think they have to do it twice. I don't remember. And he did it, and the person that was not responsive. And they did it again, and they brought the person back. So he couldn't, he did Chiyas Amesim. He did Chiyas Amesim. He did.
Wow. Oh, so this, yeah. So this Tosis is for Benji. So how did? Oh, so 1 second. So I don't know. Yeah. So now what's Tosis Teretz then? The feeder, right? Tosis is saying that he knew for sure it's going to work, but mashma, if he didn't know it was going to work, then he wouldn't be able to do it. 1 second. We know that Safek Pikuach Nefesh. We know Safek Pikuach Nefesh. You mevatel all the mitzvahs except for the big three, not just a badai pikuach nefesh, right? Even a suffix from this Tosfos, it's mashma that it has to be a vadai pikuach nefesh, not a suffix pikuach nefesh. Now I don't think now of course I'm not remembering what the Mefarshim answered to this kasha, because it's a shvera kasha from Tosfos, right?
Yeah, it's a good question. I didn't think of that.
Yeah. It follows a different protocol. Different protocol.
No, yes, no, they do, right? He did because he knew the Mela. I don't remember exactly. Okay, whatever it is with the kasha, it's a starka kasha. Okay, so anyway, so again, he asked Eliyahu Hanavi, "What are you doing in the base of Kvaris?" Right. So Amar Lei, Loi Masni Mar Tahiris. Did you not learn Tahiris? Yeah. Tanya Reb Shimon ben Yochai Omer Kivrein Shalai Dikachavim Ein Matamin. The caver of a guy is not Matamin Shenemar, because it says Ve'etein Tzayni Tzayin Marisi Adam Atem. So now you're my tzayin, and the tzayin of my grazing Adam Atem, and you are man, right? Atem Kriyim Adam Ve'einav Dikachavim Kriyim Adam. You're considered man, and others are not considered man. So Mameli told him, you don't know the Mishnah in Tyrus? Avada, it's not a problem. They're goyim. Now, how do we paskin this? We got all the kahanim on. I know Aaron Kaplan doesn't like when we say that the Maisa Kohen could go into a hospital. You know, he likes to be machmir on this. But bottom line is that a few different shittas in the Rishonim. Some say
you got to preface it. It depends who's in the hospital. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, that's it. Okay, that's it. It also depends what's on TV that night.
Right, if there's a cold can of Pepsi in the hospital also.
Yeah,
Right.
correct.
No, that marble cake in the Bika Chaylim, bro.
Yeah. So some Rishonim say we don't paskin like this at all, and a guy is matama. Some Rishonim say he's not matama at all. Even to touch a guy is not a problem. And some Rishonim hold that it is also to touch the guy, but oil, there's no tumas oil, meaning, and that would be the tuma l'chayre that we're talking about here for Eliyahu Hanavi. Okay, whatever it is. The bottom line is that's what we're saimach on for a kohen who's, let's say, his wife's having a baby or he's got to go visit somebody in the hospital. So we're totally in a sveka, right? Suffix whether there's a mace in the hospital, and even if there's not, then even if there is, pashtus is it's a guy. You mean it's not? I mean it's not necessarily svek. It could also be you go basaroiv. Even if there's a guy, so it's a guy. So and then we have the machlaikas whether a guy is metama or not. Okay, so that's what the kayanim asaymach. So anyway, so he said back to him, well, you don't know Mishnayos Tyrus Amar Lei. He said in Ba'ar B'loy Metzina. I can't even learn in the 4 Sidorim. B'shisa Metzina, I should learn the 6. This should give us chizik.
I thought of us today. Yeah, this morning I thought of us. Yeah.
Well, I can't even know the 4. I should know the 2. But you know what? But he was still hanging out in the basic verse with Eliyahu Hanavi, though. So I'm not sure where we fall onto that one. So, but anyway, so he says I can't. I'm so fatran. There was also fascinating Rashi. So which 4 is he talking about? Rashi ba'arba loy matzina. It's in the fourth thin line down in the Rashi. It says, what are the four? Begirsa, the arba sedarin kagain mayid, Yeshuas, Nashim, and Kachim. Yeshuas, right? The Nezikin Rashi refers to as Yeshuas. I have no idea what the connection is with that. I think there's other places that he says it, but it's called. I think it makes it based on Shabbos, maybe.
Yeah, the Gemara in Shabbos says, "Emunas yitacha chosin Yeshuas chachma v'das." So it refers. I believe
is referring to
Yeshuas is Nezikin. Yeah, so some Rishonim say that. So we basically chiddush over here that these are the ones in the Manazeh.
Right. So yeah. So that right. So Gemara Shabbos. So anyways, yes. Thank you. So anyways, the four major ones, the ones that we learn. I mean, we try to learn. Mayid. So Mayid's Negeya. Nashim is Negeya. Nezikin is Negeo Yeshuas, Kachim. Then another interesting, right? The Rashi continues, but it's getting Rashi continues that Kachim's pshat that we want to be able to make it as if we bring karbanas bismanas. So if we learn Kachim, it's as if we're being makar of karbanas because Mishalim Parim Svaseni, right? So Memela, that's why he was bucky in those four. But Zrayim and Tyrus, he didn't know. So Amarle Amai, Tifamai, why are you not able to learn? It's very daichik to me, right? Meaning I'm busy. I'm busy with things. So Davrei va'ayle legan Eden. So Elio, he just took him and he brought him up to Gan Eden. Amrale pashat kulimech. So in Gan Eden, they told him take off your jacket. Safi shkol mahani tarfi, and take. Rashi says Safi means laka. Take all these leaves that they have here. So Safa. Shakal, he went and gathered these leaves. Kiavanafik, when he was leaving Gan Eden, Shama the Kamar, he heard a voice saying, Man who's eating up his whole Olam Haba like Rabbi Baravua? Meaning he came up to Olam Haba, now he's got these valuable leaves. He's going to go down and he takes care of all his issues. And now he's going to lose his Olam Haba. So Nafatz in Shadinu, he shook his jacket and he knocked out all the leaves. Right, because he didn't want to lose his Olam Haba, which is again you get into the whole mussar of do you really should you really daven for a nace? Should you really daven? Be careful because we might lose that on our schusim, which is exactly what they were saying to him here. So he knocked out all the leaves, but still afilu hachi asi leglime when he came with his jacket sachat klima recha, his jacket had such a nice smell. From these leaves, Zavne Petreser Alfi Dinar, he was able to sell the jacket for 12,000 dinar, and Palgino Lachasvan Husay, and he gave it out to all his sons-in-law. Right? Now, why? Very, very interesting Marshawn. The art scroll actually brings it on the bottom. Yeah. So why did he give it to his sons-in-law? Because he didn't want to benefit from it. He didn't want to give it to his kids. Because if he gives it to his kids, he's benefiting from it. But if he gives it to his sons-in-law, that's not considered benefiting from it. Because I'm assuming the pshat is because the son-in-law, Rabban, this gets involved with this morning's Naftali with this morning's thing. He gets involved with his sons-in-law, then his sons-in-law get married. They're mechuyev to support his daughters. Right. So he's doing it as just a bonus. So it's not. He's not getting any hana from.
I thought you were going to say Fakir. I thought you were going to say it's a riot to support, but okay.
But we always bring the case when we say Tovus and Nuz when he has a son-in-law Kayin. We always say that.
But that's true. That's true. No, Aaron, that's what I'm saying. The Pashup reading in the Gemara sounds like you should support your sons-in-law, but the Marsha, from based on what the Marsha is saying, Fakir. Yes, okay. So Tanrabon, the Imish Anihu Loisishka Bavutes. If he's a poor person, you should not lay down with his security, meaning you shouldn't use it. Mashma hashachir shachiv. It's mashma that if the borrower has money, then you're allowed to use his security that he gives you. My karma, what does it say? Meaning, if it's why would you be allowed to use a wealthy one? What's the din is the din. Meaning, you're not allowed to use the borrower's items. So, this is what it's saying. If he's an ani, don't even sleep meaning don't sleep with the security next to you. Not don't use it. That about you can't use it, but don't leave it in your house. Even give it back to him. But ashir, you could sleep with it in your house because he doesn't need it back. It's only if he's an ani that you give it back to the borrower. Fine. You lend your friend, you're not allowed to do a mashkin, and you're not mechuyev to give it back to him. And you're over on all these shemas. So now this Bryce is saying three different dinim. You're not allowed to take a mashkin, but you're not. If you do have a mashkin, you're not mechuyev to give it back. And if you do, and you're also over on all these shemas. So what does this mean? My kamar, what is it saying? First, it says you're not allowed to take the security. Then it says if you have the security, you don't have to give it back. And then it says you're over on 60 surim, or 5 surim, and 1 asay. So what? How do we understand the price? So Amar Rav Sheshes Hachi Kama. This is what the price is saying. If somebody lends his friend, you're not allowed to take a mashkin from him. Meaning, what does that mean? You're not allowed to go into his house and take a mashkin. If he brings it out to you, that's fine. And if he did, you are chayiv to give it back to him. And you'd be over on all these shemas, a sefer that's going on the sefer, meaning if you don't give him back the security, then you're going to be over on these isurim. That's Rav Shesh's way of understanding the price. Rava says a different way. Somebody who lends to his friend, he's not allowed to mashkin. And if you did, you're chayiv to give it to him. And this answers the question that I think a lot of us had, at least in the back of our head. We're half the Masechta, not half, but a lot of Masechta is talking about when you take collateral. You take collateral for a loan. So here's the answer. We're talking about where you're taking the mashkin not at the shas halva, meaning you lent him money, then a month later he didn't pay you back. Okay, so then you go and you take the thing from him. That's what we're talking about. We have to give it back. But if you take a mashkin at the loan, meaning you tell the guy, I'm only going to lend you the money if you give me your pillow as collateral, ain't a chayiv lahachsel that you're not mechuyev to give back. And okay, and so when the Brisa says that you'd be over on all these things, what's that referring to? A ratio that is going on. That's going on the ratio. Yeah. Okay. We can stop.
According to Rav Sheshes, you can't take a mashkin at all.
I don't know if he. No, I think he's. I have no idea. I don't think he's being sicer. It's just this is the way he's explaining the particular price. But
Rav Sheshes himself could hold the stock. Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Okay, we'll stop over there. We'll say till. All right, good Shabbos for those getting off.